David Gura and Democratic candidate Kirsten Gillibrand kicked off a bus tour this week of Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Michigan. She called it the Trump Broken Promises Tour, and the goal, as she explained it to me, is to highlight how President Trump has not made good on promises he made to voters in those key states where Barack Obama won and then Donald Trump won. There's another goal, and that is to try to build momentum for a candidate who continues to poll at the bottom of the field. She and I met up in Pittsburgh on the first day of the tour for lunch, and yes, for some pastries afterward at the porch at Schenley. At the time, Alexandria Acosta was still the Secretary of Labor, and she repeated her call for him to step down. Here's what she had to say in this edition of Politicians and the Pastry Plate.
Alex Acosta, the Secretary of Labor, he came out and did a press conference this week about the role that he played in Miami, in the Jeffrey Epstein matter.
Yep.
And something he said is the world is different now than it was back in 2007, 2008. And I wonder what you make
Maybe the world's differently for him because we're now holding sexual predators accountable, and we're not allowed to shove those allegations under the rug. I did not vote for him in his nomination hearing and the vote, and I will not vote for him again. I think he should resign, and I think President Trump should ask for his resignation. But again, President Trump has over a dozen allegations of sexual assault against him directly, and he doesn't value women, and he doesn't take sexual violence seriously on any level. So I'm certainly not going to be holding my breath for Trump to hold Acosta accountable.
I was thinking about this because there have been calls for him to resign, and it strikes me that under any other president, the call would be for him to be fired or to ask the secretary for his resignation. What does that say to you about this administration, where we are as a country, as a body politic, that we no longer have any faith that the president will call?
I certainly have no faith in President Trump to hold someone who shoved allegations of sexual assault under the rug and made no effort for accountability against a predator who clearly should not have been treated with such a light touch. Someone who has record of trafficking minors and sexual assault. It is not something I can imagine anyone should have agreed to some light-handed plea deal. It's one of the problems with President Trump. He doesn't value women. He doesn't take sexual assault seriously, and he doesn't have a cabinet that represents the American people and our values.
What would you say to somebody who looks at all of this surrounding Jeffrey Epstein, the way it was dealt with, and has no faith in the system itself? You're a lawyer yourself, practiced law. There have to be people in this country who look at this and see it as a colossal failure, to say the least.
Yeah. What I would say to the American people is that this democracy matters, and that their voice is the most important part of it. And that if they don't agree with what President Trump has done, if they're tired of being lied to, if they're tired of the special interests and the money and the greed and corruption that runs Washington, and they want their voice restored, to support my campaign. What
is the role that he plays in your campaign and this campaign? How much do you want to be talking about President Trump? How much should Democratic candidates at this point be talking about the president?
Well, I think it's important to address the lies he told to the American people, because a lot of people voted for him because they expected him to break up the system, blow up the system, disrupt the system, but he's not. And it's why I'm running my campaign on the importance of getting money out of politics.
What happens at the end of this bus trip? You look at Eric Swalwell, the congressman from California. He decided he was going to step out of the race.
Yeah.
Is there a metric that you look to where if I don't hit this mark, I'm going to step back, focus on the Senate exclusively?
I intend to be the nominee, and I intend to defeat President Trump. I intend to heal this nation and bring us together. I've been in Washington long enough to know what's actually the problem. I know I can see the greed, the corruption, the rot that's metastasized entirely over everything that should be getting done in Washington. It's not. So I know I have the vision to actually solve these problems, and I've had the experience of the last 10 years listening to constituents, finding out what their biggest concerns and worries are, and being able to actually pass legislation that helps them.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.